Hey ALCers, I'm Rita Riyad, and I know the ride is coming up in just a little bit, so I want to teach you a few key yoga poses that you can do before and after you're on the bike to help your body recover and keep on going. So we're going to start with our wrists and our ankles, some areas that are often overlooked, but as you can imagine, after spending all day on the handlebars, your wrists can really tighten up. So you want to make sure you're stretching them out every single day. So you're just going to start by coming up onto all fours. Place your hands underneath your shoulders, the knees are underneath the hips. And then take your left hand, the top of the left hand comes down onto the ground. The wrist touches the ground and begin to shift your hips back just to the point where the wrist wants to lift up. And then press it back down. Hold it here, take a few deep breaths. Ideally, I recommend staying in each of these poses for at least 30 to 60 seconds, or you can just take 5 deep breaths. You can curl the fingers towards the palm if you want to, if that feels comfortable. And then go ahead and release. Now take that same left hand, flip it so that the fingertips face towards you. Press the palm down into the ground. Again, shift your hips back just to the point where the wrist or the palm wants to lift up. Press it back down and hold it here. This gives you a nice stretch through the forearm. Again, hold it here for 5 deep breaths, breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the nose. And then once you're done, you can go ahead and release and then repeat it on your right hand. So moving into the ankles, we want to start by first curling the toes under. Make sure that the feet are together. Make sure the pinky toes are curled under. So reach back, get them underneath you, and then sit down onto your heels. Now, if this is really intense and you really feel it in your feet, you can grab a block or a towel and place that underneath your hips and sit up onto the block to create some more space. So you're just going to hold it here, breathe into your feet. Again, 5 deep breaths. And then once you're done, you can go ahead and release. And then we're going to do a counter pose for the top of the ankles. Take the top of the feet to the ground and then sit down onto your heels. Again, you can place a towel underneath or behind your knees in order to make it more comfortable. Now, sitting here might be enough for you. You're already going to feel it in your ankles or your quads. That's totally fine. Stay here. Or if you want to take it a little deeper, hands by your hips, sit back. Press into the top of the feet and then lift the knees up off the ground. Maybe an inch, maybe a couple of inches, and hold it here. Great. And then go ahead and release. So these are a couple of poses that you can do for your wrists and your ankles, again, every single day before and after the bike. I'm Rita Riyad. And today what I'm going to show you is a simple forward bend that you can use at any time to help release your spine and any tension that may have built up in your neck. So you're going to start by keeping the feet together. If that's uncomfortable, you can keep the feet hip-width distance apart as well. Inhale, take the arms up over your head. And then exhale, bend the knees and fold forward. Once you're all the way forward, release the head, maybe shake the head forward and back or side to side. And then hold it here, hold on to opposite elbows and take 5 deep breaths. As you breathe in, you'll notice your spine naturally lifts. And as you breathe out, the crown of your head naturally reaches towards the ground. So taking 5 deep breaths here. And then releasing the arms back down to the ground, chin tucks into the chest, and slowly begin to roll yourself up 1 vertebrae at a time. And the head comes up last. Roll your shoulders back and down and release. So this is a great pose to do first thing in the morning when you come out of bed, just to open up your spine before you get on the bike, and after you get off the bike at any rest stops or at the end of the day. What I'm going to show you now is a pose to do to open up through the chest. After spending all day on the handlebars, there's a tendency for the shoulders to roll forward and for tension to gather up in the shoulders, which may eventually cause numbness or tingling down the arm. So you want to make sure to open up and roll the shoulders back and open the chest every day. There's a simple pose. You're just going to reach the arms back behind you. Interlock the fingers. If your hands can't reach one another, just hold onto a towel or a strap, anything where you can hold your arms back. And then begin to squeeze the shoulder blades together and roll the shoulders back. Then begin to lift the hands up off your hips if possible. If not, you can just leave them down on your hips. Now what I don't want is for you to lean forward as you're doing this. So just stand straight, ground down through the feet, roll the shoulders back, and just begin to lift the arms up over your hips. Hold it here for 5 deep breaths. And then when you're done, go ahead and release and shake it out. What I'm going to show you now is a pose to do to stretch through the hamstrings, right behind your legs. So it's a very simple pose. You're going to take the right foot in front of the left about 3 feet. Square the hips, so just turn the hips a few times. And then lift through the chest. Both feet are planted down into the ground. Begin to hinge at the hips. This is very important. So you're not rounding the back. You're keeping the back flat and you're hinging at the hips to fold halfway forward, just to a point where you begin to feel a stretch on the back of your right leg or in your hamstrings. From there, you're going to hold it, look forward, and begin to breathe, taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the nose. And with each exhale, if possible, you can begin to fold forward a little deeper if your body allows. Finding your edge, the place where you really feel a stretch, hold it there. Take 5 deep breaths. And then keeping a flat back, pressing into both feet, inhale and bring yourself back up to standing. Pivot to the other side. Same thing, square your hips a few times. Lift through the chest, take a breath in. As you exhale, hinge at the hips and fold. Coming halfway down, hold it here. Looking out in front of you. And if you want, you can also maybe bring the hands down to the shin, to a block, or the ground if your hands reach the ground. Again, taking 5 deep breaths here. And then, when you're done, bring your hands back up to the hips, inhale, and rise back to standing and face forward. So again, great pose to do before and after getting on the bike to release the tension in the legs. So this next pose that I'm going to show you is a great pose to do to release tension in your hips. It's called pigeon pose in yoga. So to get started, we'll come down onto the ground and bring the right knee forward and extend the left leg back behind you. So the right foot can be towards the left hip as much as you want. Flex the right foot. It's really important that this front foot is flexed and not caving in. From here, make sure that you're on both the right knee and the left knee and you're not collapsed down onto the right hip, keeping yourself lifted. Take a breath in, lifting through the chest. And then as you exhale, begin to fold forward, extending the arms forward and folding all the way down. Bringing either the forehead to the ground or stacking one fist on top of another and resting your head down. So you're going to hold it here for 5 deep breaths, breathing into the right hip. If you can hold it a little longer, I would highly recommend holding for at least a minute, maybe even a little longer, so that you can really work on releasing the tension in the glutes, in the hips. Once you're done, bring the hands down to the ground, take a breath in and rise back up to seated. Come down onto your hip and you're just going to switch sides. Bending the left knee in, extend the right leg back behind you. Same thing. Now, if your hip is really high up off the ground, then you can place a block underneath that hip. So underneath the hip where your leg is out front. Making sure that you're balancing on both knees. Again, breath in, and then keeping the chest forward. Exhale, folding all the way down. Forehead to the ground, or stacking one fist on top of another. And then once you're done, inhale, bring the hands to the ground, rising all the way up to seated, and release. I just want to share one last practice with you. I promised 4 yoga poses, which you have, but I also want to share a breath-focused meditation. Now, when you're on a ride that you're riding for hours and hours, it's really easy for the mind to begin wandering. And it's important to be able to tap back into the mind, back into your bigger purpose for why you're there in the first place. One way to do that is to focus on the breath and develop a breath-focused meditation practice. It's really easy to do. I'll just teach you a technique that you can use. Finding a comfortable seated position, taking the shoulders back and down. Softly close the eyes and begin to focus on your natural breathing. Breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the nose. Just doing this a few times at your own pace. And then the next time you take a breath in, say in your mind, inhale. And as you breathe out, say in your mind, exhale. Again, as you breathe in through the nose, say in your mind, inhale. And as you breathe out through the nose, say in your mind, exhale. Continue to breathe in this way at your own pace. If the mind begins to wander away or thoughts enter the mind, simply let them pass on by. And remember, at any point when your mind wanders away from the breath, you have the control to bring it back to the breath, to bring it back to the present moment. By saying in your mind, inhale as you breathe in, and exhale as you breathe out. Once completed, softly blink the eyes open. Take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. I hope you enjoyed these yoga videos as much as I enjoyed creating them for you. Please use them every moment that you can when you're off the bike. It's really important to take care of your body so that you can make it all the way to the end. If you want more tips and tools on how to live life well, please come visit me on my website at rithuriyat.com. Thank you so much for riding. I'll see you out there.